Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be previewing probably the most pointless game of Celtic's season, considering Neil Lennon effectively chucked the Europa League after a 4-1 defeat to Sparta Prague. But it's time for the reverse leg. We're heading to Prague now to take on a team which embarrassed us. A game that should have seen the end of any Celtic manager's tenure as boss. But we're going again, and let's see how this goes. Piling on the agony, missing out on style. That's the way I'm like to think of it. It is just, why? Why are we even bothering? How much do we even cover it? We'll do it, we'll get into it after the intro. Before the video begins, quick shout out to the channel sponsors, OneFootball. If you want to download the OneFootball app, then make sure to check the top line of the description. OneFootball, of course, will give you everything you need to know ahead of all the Europa League games, not just Celtic's on Thursday night, and every other league in world football. You can go and check out stats in the opposition, stats from Celtic too, news stories, transfer rumours, everything in between, all in the one place. It's a very good app, as we all know by now. So, top line of description, make sure to check it out there. Right then, Celtic heading to Prague in the fourth game in the Europa League group stages. A game which, you know, as Neil Lennon's put it, effectively we've chucked the Europa League. You know, there's no point in even trying at this point. Although I'd love to see us try. I'd love to see us get something. It's been nothing short of a humiliation. Of course, a group that was always going to be tough, but with expectation levels based on last year's results, this has been such a bitterly disappointing group stages. Last year, you know, we've seen the likes of us taking on Lazio and getting 6 points from them. We've done really well against the French Cup winners, Rennes. We got 3 points off Cluj. You know, it was a really good group. And even when the draw was done for this year, if you watched my live reaction, you've seen it. I had hope, I had a bit of faith we could do something, but the story of Celtic's season has been disappointment after disappointment. And I wouldn't even use I was about to say shortcoming after shortcoming, but there's been no shortcomings. There's been nothing to come short of. We've been utterly woeful, and especially in the Europa League. That 4-1 defeat to Prague would have seen the end of any manager's career, I think, especially with the form that we've been on. I don't think anybody would have survived that. You know, your Tony Mowbrays, your Ronnie Dyers, even the likes. I don't think the likes of Strachan would survive that. If they were performing on the pitch week in, week out the way that we have been this season, I think they would have been gone and it should have been the end. The Sparta Prague reserves took us on and beat us 4-1 in our own backyard, and I don't care if there's fans or no, there was no defending the performance on the night against that mob last month. It was humiliating, and as I already said in my match reaction to that, I could do nothing but laugh when the fourth goal went in the back of the net. How am I meant to react to such an occasion, you know? We should never be losing 4-1 at Celtic Park to anyone in Europe. It's bad enough when PSG and such come to Celtic Park and utterly humiliate us, but when it's done by the hands of a team who are missing 7 or 8 first team players, it's another realm of embarrassment. It's just... you're lost for words to describe it, quite honestly, and I think a lot of the fans share that frustration with me. And for me, that was the real turning point as to whether or not I wanted to see Neil Lennon continue as Celtic manager. That game especially. So I think Thursday will be really telling and whether or not we should, you know, quickly make this change. It's not going to happen. If you're watching Sky Sports News and such today, Peter Law and such are apparently very happy. They're content with what's happening. They think that everything will come through. There's going to be no change. Don't expect Neil Lennon to be sacked if we win or lose on Thursday, or even if we go out the cup at the weekend. I think that he will remain in the job until the end of the season. I think it would take something catastrophic like us falling to 4th in the table before we make that change. And that's how bad the ambition is right now at the club. If the club had any sort of awareness or any ambition as to where we are going in the next year especially, they would make the change. They would go out and get a chequebook and appoint a manager who's going to motivate the players, bring the fans back on a positive note. I mean, if we were to return to stadiums anytime soon, if the vaccine was to be rolled out tomorrow and we were in the stadiums next week, it would be toxic. We wouldn't be returning a happy note. And this is after, you know, we won the league. We were off the back of winning the League Cup, of course. We make a Scottish Cup final. On paper, we should be heading back to the stadiums ecstatic. We should be excited. We should be willing to back the team and the manager. But it would be absolutely toxic if we were to return to the stadiums anytime soon. So the board should be looking at that. But whatever happens on Thursday, I think has no, you know, sort of an impact on where Neil Lennon stands with his place as manager. I think he's comfortable in his job security, and the board are comfortable with him being there as manager. So I don't suspect much to change, but we've spoke about Neil Lennon enough. Let's move on to the group stage. It's effectively done. You heard Lennon speak. He's chucked it. He said, after the Prague game, that's us basically out of the Europa League. We have 1 point from the opening 3 games. It would now require Celtic to go on and get a miracle of 9 points in these remaining 3, which, judging off our best and judging off his last year, that is possible, but let's cut to the chase. It's not going to happen. We're not going to win away from home in Prague. We're not going to win away from home in Milan, and we're certainly not looking like we can even win at home in the final game as well. So it's a bit of a train wreck, the whole group stage. It's a real sort of nice bit of imagery as to where the team is. 1 point from 3 games, and 2 games have been at Celtic Park. Tomorrow night, if we win, yes, it sets us in a place where we can maybe go and get a bit of confidence, a bit of energy to go and push the last couple of games and get something. But if you just want to be realistic about it, it's simply not going to happen. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend I am confident that we will head to Prague on Thursday night and get a result. If I was to cut straight to the chase, I don't think it will happen. The team looked depleted. The manager looks depleted. You've seen the photos of the likes of Tom Rogic today from the game on Saturday against Hibs. He just looked, frustrated. He looked lost. That just goes around the whole team. You've seen us standing around watching as a penalty rebound was scored. You see Ayer trying to bring the team back, rejuvenate, inject a bit of pass into it, not working. You see Brown making silly mistakes. All these things I feel like are things that are going to creep up on Thursday night. And the other approach to take to it is, will Neil Lennon field his strongest team? And how will he field his team as well? We'll get on to that when it comes to the team selection, but the fact that Neil Lennon came out after the game against Sparta Prague and said that, now it either comes from one of 2 places. It comes from a heat of the moment sort of, we're done, and he's just said it, frustrated, and he said it and not really meant it. I severely doubt that's the case. Or he's generally just going to chuck it now, and you could see him put out a team of, a bit of rotation on Thursday night. Now, there's not much to rotate with. You look at Turnbull, perfect chance for him to come in and get a game on the European stage. He's now out because he's tested positive for coronavirus. You look at other players where you see the likes of Ismaila Soro come in. Will we see Frimpong drop, Del Ahmed come back into the team? Will Barkas now get back into the team? Will he start Griffiths or Klimala instead of Ayeti and Edouard? There's a lot of options he now has if he has just given up completely, because what is the point in wasting our energy when we have a cup game at the weekend, which we need to really go through in. We need to make our presence known in these cup competitions once more. We need to go and try and get to the Betfred Cup final. So there's a lot of questions surrounding that in itself, but judging off the weekend's performance and judging off the prior group stage performances, I don't see how any of us as Celtic fans can be filled with a lot of hope. On paper, this is a game we should be winning. We should. That's a reality. When the group was drawn, I was fancying Prague for 4 points, maybe 6 points. But now it looks realistic that we can walk with 0, and I know there's still a lot of people who are turning up my comment sections and replying to my videos and my posts and such, saying I'm just too negative, I'm a pessimistic person, have some faith, back the manager, keep the faith. That is impossible to do at the minute, and I think a lot of people are still, they're yet to wake up to that, realise that there is no faith. When we're playing like this and you see the body language of the players and you see what the manager is saying in these press conferences and you hear all these different quotes coming out in the newspapers and such, it's hard to believe in your team at the minute. But we need to start somewhere. Ideally it would be Thursday night. Am I full of faith that'll happen? I must admit I'm not. On to the opposition then, Sparta Prague, of course, we've seen them play. We know the approach they can take to the game. They're very dangerous moving forward. Defensive errors were rife for us against them the first time, but they're a good team. I don't need to talk much about them. I've already spoke a lot in this video about the issues surrounding Celtic. And Prague this month haven't been great either. They've played 2 league games in November and they have lost both. And they've lost both by quite a margin. I think one was a 3-1 loss, one a 4-2 loss. It hasn't been a great month. But Celtic haven't had a great month either. Prague will be happy to have players back in their team from the first game that they missed out. Ultimately, it's going to be a more dangerous side, and they know where to exploit Celtic. They'll have a laugh with it if they have to. That's a reality. And that's, I think, all I have to say on the opposition themselves. So the team and score predictions then for the game on Thursday night. I think there's a slight chance I think Neil Lennon might go back to the 3-5-2 in this game. I would not be stunned if Neil Lennon starts the game the way he finished against Hibs. Of course, we've seen Griffiths and Edouard play up front together against Hibs. And Neil Lennon has had that sort of tactical genius this season of saying, oh, that worked for 10 minutes, so let's now roll with it, and then it doesn't work. So I would not be shocked if we end up going back to the 3-5-2, and you could see Griffiths and Edouard paired up front. We could see maybe Klamala come back in, Ayeti might start again. Ideally, I think Edouard does start the game. He scored at the weekend. Let's try and get him scoring more goals, get the confidence back. We rely very heavily on him to make an impact on the squad, and he ultimately, when he's playing his best, motivates the players around him to play better. You know, all it takes is one really good pass from the likes of Rogic, Christie, Elyounoussi, Edouard's in behind, and if he's on fire, if he's on form and he's playing his best, he will finish it. And he'll do creative things with the ball. He'll take the ball first time beautifully if he's at his best. So that encourages the players behind him to play a lot better as well. I do think we might go 3-5-2 in all honesty. I would not be shocked if it happens. We're missing James Forrest badly. We are missing him with so much. He contributes so much to the team that, you know, when he plays, we underappreciate him and he gets slagged rotten. But now that he's gone, you realise that we need that option on the right hand side. And it's a big part of the failures, I think, this season that he's been gone. But you can't use ifs and buts in it. You never know. The team has been bad enough. I don't imagine we're going to magically become better overnight with him back in the squad, but we do miss a lot of what he offers. Ultimately, I think we will go back to 4-2-3-1 though. I wouldn't be shocked with the 3-5-2, as I said. But we need goals. We need a bit of confidence from this. And even if we win, it's not going to change the tone amongst Celtic fans. It's not going to change the tone or the response in the media towards Neil Lennon as well. Ultimately, his job is still going to be under question. I think he'll come under a lot of scrutiny if he doesn't get a win here that isn't a 3 or 4-0. You know, even if we won't win 1-0 away from home in Europe, usually that's a very good result. We take that. It's not convincing enough. It's not what Celtic have been building on over the past year. It's just a step backwards. So it's really, it's one of those ones. There's not a lot of positives that can come from this, even with a win. Because I don't see us making it through the group anyhow. We need to rely on results going our way off the rest of the group too. So it's just nasty all round. I'm going to predict a draw for Thursday. I never like to say a loss. I never even like to say draw, and I like to be confident Celtic can win every game we talk about when it's against a reasonable opposition. But they know what they're doing. They really do. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in Prague. And that is my score and the team predictions. Yes, it's been a lot of complaining as normal, but what else is there to do nowadays? If you have enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. I suspect there'll be a lot of people still on the side of, oh, Ryan, you're too negative, blah blah blah. Ultimately, I'm not going to change my opinion to suit a camera and to suit others. Right now, I am just very, very annoyed at how the team is playing. I'll obviously support them through win or loss and through bad forms, but you've got to criticise these things. You've got to talk about them. You've got to be honest about it. I cannot come on a camera and sugarcoat things, and I can't pretend that everything's going well with Celtic when it's not. So it's just my opinion. I'm sure people won't agree, and come the end of the season, we'll see what it's like then. But for now, that's pretty much it. So let me know what you think. Comments below. Like, subscribe. I'll see you all next time.